Hi guys, it's Angela from Wildstyle. I've got a couple quick projects today. First off, these onions that we started from seedling are long overdue for some trimming, so we're going to give them a trim. I'm going to show you how I keep my kitchen green onions and talk a little bit about that, and then I'm also going to trim up my spider plant and show you guys that. So first of all, the green onions. If you guys remember from the video, we planted these as seedlings. On this side is the yellow onions, and on this side is the red onions. They look the same right now, and they will until they are fully formed and bulbs. And once they're fully grown out in the garden, you'll be able to tell a difference between the two. But until then, they're going to look pretty much the same growing up. So these are very long. Once they get 6 inches tall, which mine have grown past that, but once they get at least 6 inches tall, you can cut them back until they're 3 inches tall. And so that's what we're going to do today. That helps strengthen the onion bulbs so that then they grow a little bit wider. It can put more of its nutrients and focusing that on growing its roots and its bulb. And it's not putting so much energy into the top of the plant. So we'll help you have stronger seedlings. And especially as you go to plant those outside in the garden, the stronger you can get those. At least if you live in harsh climates like I do, the stronger you can get them before you put them out there, the better. So I'm just going to use the regular kitchen scissors. And mine are going a little crazy. So I'm going to kind of stand them up as best as I can. And then just trim until about 3 inches tall. So it's kind of like if you were cutting your grass. Okay, so if you want to, you can actually chop these into little pieces and add them into your recipes. If you've got recipes that call for little green onions or little chives, you can get a similar flavor and just chop these up and use them in some recipes. So I will do that occasionally. My kids prefer these because they're so small, then it's not like they're getting a full oniony crunch. Okay, so that's how they look. They don't have to be perfectly even. They're going to be much stronger now as they put some energy down into their roots and their bulbs a little bit more. And then as these grow, they'll grow, and in a couple more inches, we'll come back and we'll do that again. So just to make sure that they're nice and strong. And you can keep doing that until you're ready to plant them out. And it also helps if you've got them under a grow light because then they're not so tall. So mine kept hitting the grow light, and then they were flopping over, and they were flopping into the plants that were next to them. So this will just help everybody be a happier plant, and it'll work out much better under the grow light too. So I missed one. Okay. Okay, so next, real quick, I wanted to talk to you guys about how I keep my green onions. So these are actually just a bunch of green onions that I got from the grocery store. And I needed them for recipes, so I picked up a bunch. And I cut off what I need off the tops for my recipe. And then I just stick the rest in just a glass, a jar, a vase, whatever you've got is fine, with some fresh water. And then they will just stay happy and they will continue to grow. And then as I need them for another recipe, I can come cut off the tops and use them in another recipe. So we did cut these down today. I'll show you. I think I got a little bit of that I can show you real quick. And then also the recipe that we use them in. Every couple of days, you want to change out the water because it does get murky and kind of yucky looking. And so every couple of days, I make sure I change out the water. And then as I fertilize my other houseplants, I'll just stick a teeny tiny bit of that fertilized water in here, and that seems to keep them happy. And these I've probably had for at least 3 months, and they're still looking great. They are starting to get a little bit mushy down here, so sometimes if you want to do a little bit less water and let that dry out, it'll last even longer. Sometimes when they kind of start to get too mushy looking, I will throw them out. But like I said, I've had these for 3 months. They're still fine. I think I'm going to keep them for a little while longer yet. You can use just the regular green onions, or you can also use organic. I've done it with both, and they both work great for me. But that just helps save me, so I'm spending less at the grocery store because I am not buying green onions every time I need them. I'm just buying them every so often. So one little trick for you. And then my last project for today is I have a spider plant, and I had moved it to a different spot in my house. I had moved it, I think, over on top of the mantle. I tried to see if it was going to like it over there, and it did not like it. It kind of threw a fit. It turned all these edges brown, and it got really upset over there. It didn't like it. So I moved it back, and where it usually stays is right on top of my humidifier. It loves the humidity. It just thrives there. It even has little flowers, cute little white flowers that it puts on all the time. It loves it there. But these brown edges will never recover. So we're just going to go through today and trim those up so that it looks a little bit nicer. There's no reason to leave them there, and they kind of look a little bit ugly. So I'm going to go through and trim those up, and then hopefully get this plant looking a little better. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just using, again, my regular scissors, and I'm just going to cut off where it's brown and then down just maybe another ½ an inch or so. You can do more or less. This plant can take it. I do have this plant in a spot where it does not get any direct sunlight. It's just getting a lot of indirect bright light, and it seems to like it there. But I think the biggest thing that makes it happy is right on top of that humidifier. So if you live in a more humid area, you might be fine. But here, I would say it's rare, especially throughout the winter, that our humidity gets above 30%. And so it's really hard on the indoor plants when that happens, because they just like to pull water from the air, and they can't do that if there's not much in the air. Okay, so that is it trimmed up, and it looks much better. It's much happier now. If you have issues with humidity and you don't have a humidifier you can put it on top of, you can mist the leaves lightly, and that will help keep it happy. It also, this is the green variety. There are lots of varieties. This is one of the most popular houseplants out there. There's varieties that have white in the stripes, and there's varieties that also have yellow in the stripes. So several different varieties of this plant. A lot of people put them in hanging pots, which is fun because then, as you can kind of see, the spider parts dangle down, the little babies dangle down, and there's flowers that hang off, and it looks gorgeous. They're super fun. Now, if you need to repot your spider plant, it's best to repot it in the spring. I generally water mine once a week. They say you can water it less in the winter. I don't know that I do anything different. I tend to water it less in the summer just because I'm busy with outdoor projects, but it seems to do fine. If you want to propagate, you can cut off one of the babies, and then just where you can see right where all those roots come together, right at that base, you would just stick that right into the soil. You can stick it back into your pot if you want to make your plant look thicker. You can stick it into another pot if you want to start a whole new plant. But you just stick that in the pot, and it will root on its own. Just keep it moist and wet, and it will root in there on its own, and it'll just keep growing, and you'll have a happy new spider plant. Otherwise, if you just like the babies hanging off there, then just let them dangle, and that's fun too. So I just love my spider plant. I want to see your guys' spider plants because there are different varieties. I want to see what kind of varieties you have and what works for you. So let me know in the comments about your spider plants. If you don't mind sharing some pictures with me down there so that I can see yours too. I think that's all I have for today. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.